Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Phoenix and this is the Consumer's Guide to Filmmaking. Silent Hill, 2006, Christoph Gans. This film follows the couple of Rose and Chris da Silva. When their daughter falls ill, the two disagree on what to do. Rose's plan is to take her to a town called Silent Hill to find answers in regards to what is ailing their child, while Chris wants to send her to a hospital. With Rose's mind already made up, Rose makes her way to West Virginia and actually ends up crashing her car in Silent Hill. Losing track of her daughter, and with ghouls of all sorts hunting her down, Rose must find a way out of Silent Hill with her daughter in one piece. This was an incredibly mixed bag adaptation of one of the most legendary horror franchises out there. There's lots to discuss here, honestly. For those that are maybe unaware of this, director Christoph Gans is actually a huge fan of Silent Hill. Expressing keen interest in getting a Silent Hill movie off the ground, he sent a big video to Konami pitching his idea for a movie. And surprisingly, Konami loved it, and him and Roger Avery got greenlit to make the movie. Christoph Gans' admiration for these games is readily apparent in his direction, as Gans understands what Silent Hill is, and maybe to a lesser extent, what made these games so magical in the first place. While his general framing and camera work isn't all that impressive, I admired the aesthetics and color palettes that Gans is using throughout this movie. When we get to the town of Silent Hill, the environment is covered in a gray fog similar to how it is presented in the game. When things start getting crazy, environments will turn into this rusted brown color similar to some of the environments in Silent Hill 2 and 3. It visually captures the iconic sort of aesthetic those games have really well. Another notable element of this film is audio, in particular the music. Before we talk about the score and the soundtrack, I want to talk about how weirdly loud this movie is. Even when I had the TV cranked down to a relatively quiet volume, this film still ripped through the speakers and knocked me back a bit. Not sure who was in charge of mixing, but maybe just a couple notches down on everything would have been nice. Anyways, back to talking about the music. The score for this film is fucking awesome. That is because the film is pretty much just using the music from the games. That weird blend of alternative rock, piano pieces, and industrial/noise music that made the Silent Hill games such an unnerving experience is fully accounted for here. The film begins with what I think is the main theme of Silent Hill 1. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I love it. That tremolo-picked guitar/mandolin melody is such an interesting piece for a horror property. The film, of course, ends with the main theme of Silent Hill 3, and that song is a bop. It's not as big of a bop as the Silent Hill 2 theme, but it's still a bop. But if this film shows its age in any department, it has to be the special effects. Now, in terms of set design and overall art direction, I think the movie does well for itself. I dug the look of Silent Hill, as well as all the creatures they took from the games. The big set pieces, conceptually, were very fun, if a tad edgy. But when it came to the execution of the before-mentioned set pieces, this movie could get rough. The computer effects that went into bringing these creatures to life were shoddy, and so much of this film could look really fake. In terms of writing and acting, I think the Silent Hill movie captures the tone of the games in a competent enough manner. The dialogue in these games have always been a tad weird, and the actors always gave what could be construed as wooden performances. But I think there is a charm to the way those scripts are written and performed, and Gans captures that charm well. And our lead role is Rhoda Mitchell, and I think she makes for a really good Silent Hill protagonist. She captures the big emotions well, and nails that weird dialogue delivery. We also have Laurie Holden, who just nails her cop character. I think that cop's from the first game. Correct me if I'm wrong. Alice Krieg plays what is essentially the villain from the first game. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. And she hams it up serviceably well. Also, Sean Bean is in this movie, and he doesn't die. Neat. Also, his performance is alright. Now, full transparency here, I've only played Silent Hill 2. I've seen playthroughs of the other games, but I don't have first-hand experience with them. As you've heard me saying throughout the video, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, seriously, forgive me if I get things wrong in this review. Anyways, I think my biggest issue with this film is that it doesn't quite understand the mechanics of Silent Hill and why those games resonate with people narratively. The whole soul of a girl split in twain and one half was adopted by someone shtick in this movie just comes off as spooky nonsense. Especially when they are playing the ghosty shit as being, like, tangible. That whole final set piece, while fun on, like, a visceral, conceptual level, it's kind of confusing once you think about it for, like, a split second. It kind of turns into, like, gibberish and mindless gore. What works about Silent Hill is that the town feeds off your inner demons. The ghouls that show up are manifestations of your trauma. It's easy fodder for psychological horror and allegorical storytelling. Pyramid Head showing up in this film felt like them throwing in a recognizable thing for the sake of it being there. Pyramid Head is something that is rooted in what James from Silent Hill 2 is going through. Same with the nurses, who I think were a thing in Silent Hill 3 and connected to whatever Heather is dealing with. So, there is a way to retool all of this in the movie to capture what makes Silent Hill cool, as the pieces of this could be rearranged, as I said, and altered to tell a great story. A story of a mother learning why her daughter is sick, and the sordid family history that brought her into a cruel world, would be an amazing Silent Hill story. I'd play the fuck out of that game, or better yet, watch that movie. As it stands though, I think I appreciate the effort more than I do the actual movie when it comes to Silent Hill. This director clearly loves the atmosphere and aesthetics that Konami created in those games, and he did a pretty great job at capturing that. I just think maybe the person that was hired to pen the script didn't quite understand the narrative aspects of Silent Hill. Having seen this before a long time ago and revisiting it now, this film doesn't quite get a pass this time around from me. But mad respect for a director who actually gave a shit about the video games and tried his best with it. Anyways, I'm feeling a 4.5 to a 5 out of 10 on this one. Maybe it's closer to a 5 than a 4.5. It's a little generous, but A for effort. Catch you later, guys.